Good afternoon, everyone. Chief Harriet Sullivan is going to give you an update on this morning's officer-involved shooting, and after she's done giving you that update, she'll take a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Thanks, everyone. I'm here to speak with you, give you a briefing on the officer-involved shooting that took place earlier today at about 4:24 a.m. I do want to mention, though, that effective April 1st of this year, that the New York Attorney General's Office of Special Investigations is the chief investigator for any incident where a police officer may have caused the death of a person, whether they are armed or unarmed. The Rochester Police Department, we've been working closely with the Attorney General's Office, our major crimes has, and I have the Attorney General's permission to discuss some preliminary details on this. So we'll share those with you now. At about 4:21 a.m. this morning, a shot spotter activation call was received for the area of 523 Lyle Avenue. At about 24 after the hour, officers saw a possible suspect vehicle that they stepped out to speak with. A few minutes after that, officers saw a male in the car brandishing a handgun and did state as much. The officers fired shots. There were at least 9, not exactly sure on the exact number. Again, this is very preliminary. We're still looking into the details on this, and we just don't have all of the information yet. A person involved was pronounced deceased at the scene. There was a second male inside the vehicle during this incident. He was not struck, as unharmed, and was safely removed from the vehicle by the officers who were on scene. We're reviewing body-worn camera right now. As you know by now, that when you have different officers involved, different cameras, different angles, that it takes us a while to get through all of the information. The officers that are involved are being placed on administrative leave, and they will be in that status for the duration of this investigation. We're not yet releasing the name of the deceased individual. We want to make sure we notify the family, and I need to confirm that. I'm sure you all understand. We're also planning to release body-worn camera. Now, obviously, it takes us a while to get it all reviewed and redacted, but we're going to release some preliminary video. I expect that we will be able to do it later today. I have the Attorney General's permission to do that. We just need to finish the review process and go through some redaction processes and make sure that we're going to show that to the family first, and then we'll be able to share that with you. So we appreciate your patience on that. The officers involved, not yet releasing their names. Again, want to give them a chance to deal with what's gone on, but we also, as you know, I want to make sure they have a safety plan, because we're in a different age now, and I just, you know, kind of want to make sure that our folks are situated and have a safety plan in place. So with that, I'm happy to take your questions.
Chief, how many officers were involved in the shooting?
2 officers in the sense of firing their weapons. I mean, obviously we had other officers at the scene assisting, but 2 officers were involved in that.
In the news release, the first news release this morning, it said it was believed there was a gun. Can you talk about the belief? What was one seen, and can you explain belief there was a gun?
Well, yeah, there was a gun at the scene. One's recovered, but again, very preliminary as far as the specific details. So that's the most I can share with you at this time.
When you say brandishing a handgun, what do you mean by that? Can you define that? Can you translate to that? I mean, what does brandishing a gun mean?
That someone at the scene had a gun in their possession. If you want more details on it, again, you know, give us a chance to work with the Attorney Generals when I have more specifics, and then I'm happy to share that with you.
Does that mean the gun was pointed at the officer?
Again, as we work through the preliminary investigations, when I can give you more specific information, I will.
Did the suspect fire his gun at all?
I'm sorry?
Do we know who shot first? Was the officer or the suspect?
I do not. I do not. I mean, obviously, those are things we'll share as soon as we can, but I don't have that specific information yet.
There were other people in the vehicle, correct?
There were at least, at the time of the, when shots were exchanged, there was at least one other there.
And what can you release from any statements, whatever that they said about what had happened? What you say about what they said?
The difficult part here is they're being interviewed and we're getting detailed information from them, so it's preliminary to release that, and then we would have to correct certain information. So as we work through that, as soon as we can confirm what we've been told, different information, we'll be more than happy to share that with you. And obviously we need the Attorney General to weigh in on that as well.
So shots were exchanged between the...
I can tell you shots were fired, but as far as details on that, you know, who fired when, and no, we're literally in the middle of that, and we want to make sure we give you as much correct information as possible.
So
Are the other occupants in the car under arrest?
That I do not know. I know we've had people that were in the car and that some interviews are taking place, but more than that, I really can't share it with you, because I'm not sure yet.
Chief, does everything that you say have to be vetted by the Attorney General before you can say it? Everything you're going to say have to go through that office?
No, but, you know, we want to obviously work in the spirit of cooperation, so while they know we're conducting the press conference and have given me the green light to share preliminary information, they didn't want to vet every word. They understand that the public needs to know a certain bit of information that we'll share as much as we can.
Will you be clearing everything with them subsequent to releasing it publicly here?
Well, I would definitely want to, if we're going to work on this in a spirit of cooperation and investigation, we would really want to communicate and be clear about what's being shared. This is a new process, so, you know, there are going to be some hiccups, I would assume. I haven't seen any yet. But we have to make an effort to communicate and show some consideration on both sides. You had a question? I'm sorry.
So you said earlier that 9 shots were exchanged?
No,
Now?
I said at least 9, but don't hold me to specifics because it's still preliminary.
But those may not have all come from the officer. You're saying the suspect may have fired back.
I'm saying exactly. I have no information that I'm ready to confirm as to how many shots were fired by whom. I just don't know that yet.
Chief, what was the race of the victim?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that.
Do you have an age of the victim?
I believe, don't hold me to that either, but I believe he's in his 20s. I believe.
Where in the car was, where exactly in the car?
I'm sorry?
Where exactly in the car was the victim sitting at the time?
I believe he was seated in the back, and then we had another passenger that was seated in the front.
Were officers able to try and do any life-saving measures on scene? Or?
I know we had medical respond, and again, like I said, that's the most I can share with you. But as far as who did what, you know, I just don't have those details yet. We'll get them to you as soon as we can, but I just don't know yet.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. So it's unclear then at this point if the suspect did fire any shots at the officers?
It's unclear to me because I don't have all the details yet. I want to speak to the Attorney General, and you know, we would want to. You got to examine the scene, examine the vehicle, examine the weapons that are involved, and we're just not there yet. I just can't tell you what I don't know yet.
Was there a verbal exchange between police and the victim, and if so, can you tell us what that exchange was?
I know there was verbalization, but I can't tell you in detail what that was.
I know things are preliminary, but based on what you've seen so far, do you believe that your officers acted appropriately, or at least were justified in what happened? Or?
I can share with you, I have not seen anything yet that causes me concern. But again, this is the cautious part. We need to see all the video, get all the information, finish our interviews, finish the preliminary, and then, you know, I'd be in a better position to share with you what my thoughts are on it.
Because the shot spotter activation sort of started this whole thing, was there another crime being committed? Do you know that? Was this vehicle or any of the occupants involved in a crime prior?
Sure, that's part of the preliminary aspects of the case. We know that's how we were called to the scene, that there was a shot spotter activation. We know there were shots fired, and that what got the officers involved with this particular vehicle was that it fit a description of what was put out as to the car that was involved in that shooting. And that's where we are with it. That's, like I said, again, preliminary. They're still conducting interviews, and I'm not prepared to tell you specifically, what role that did or did not play. I just don't know yet.
You might have said it, did more than one officer fire their weapon?
I'm not sure yet. Remember, I know shots were fired, but who did, when, and how many, I don't know yet. That's something we would find out more after the preliminary investigation, and obviously, see what the Attorney General's office
How many
comes
shots
up with.
did the shot spot or detect starting this whole situation?
I'm not sure. That number was mentioned. I believe it was around 5 or 6, but again, don't quote me to that. I would need to confirm that.
Several would be accurate.
I think so, yeah.
How many officers in total responded to that traffic stop?
Initially,
And I'm sorry, let me rephrase that.
okay.
How many responded to that traffic stop? And then how many of them are on administrative leave?
I can't share with you the total number. I can tell you there were a few after the incident, escalated to shots fired. And as you know, many of you are experienced, and you know that when that happens, we get a much larger response from our staff. So on that note, the exact amount of, how many officers responded after, there were shots fired, I just don't know yet. I will know, but I don't know that yet.
Do you know prior to those shots being fired, how many officers were involved in that traffic stop?
No, I believe the initial officers that were placed on administrative leave were the ones that responded, and that's 2. But how many came after that? Yeah, I just don't know yet. We're literally in the process of still ensuring we're correct on who was there and how many videos we need to look at. It just takes a while.
Have you seen the body cam footage or any body cam footage?
I've seen some of it, but not all.
Was the victim a city resident, or they may have actually lived near where the traffic stop happened? Do they live nearby that?
No, I'm not sure on the address. We've got to confirm that, but I believe that the victim was a city resident.
Chief, how many body cams have to be gone through? I mean, how many for the total response, right? Everyone who responded has to have the footage reviewed and then put into the final version?
Yeah, that's standard. We would look at everybody that responded and then look at all of the videos involved, but that's also why, it can take a while, because we have quite a bit to look at on a major incident, yes.
Do you know what time passed over the course of this entire traffic stop to the end of the incident?
It's not a lot, around 5 minutes, if that, so it wasn't a lengthy amount of time.
Chief, did the victim have a criminal background?
That's a good question. I'm not sure yet. I do believe so. There was some information that was shared with me that there may have been a history there, but again, these are things I want to confirm before I tell you with certainty that that's the case.
You said the vehicle matched the description of a crime that was happening maybe nearby?
Well, initially we got a shot spotter called, or shot spotter activation, where there were shots fired. And then some of the descriptive information we received, this vehicle matched that. And so I know that's how that vehicle came to the officer's attention. And that's the preliminary information I have.
Do you know when we could expect an ID?
I'm just looking to confirm that the family members, key family members, know what happened, and that we have shared the video with family. My understanding is that's in the process, so it shouldn't be much longer. Like I said, my goal is to do that today, hopefully within the hour, but just, don't hold me to an exact time, because, things happen, and but that's our goal. And so to the extent that we can get it to you as soon as possible, you'll certainly have it done.
Where does this description of the suspect vehicle come from?
There was some, we have cameras, as you know, blue light cameras that that are target certain areas, so I know that was part of it. But whether or not staff also put out certain information. That I'm not sure about. Again, that's preliminary, so, I mean, that's the tough part when you have a lot of information to review and gather. So I don't want to tell you that it came from that particular source when there are others involved. So, but again, as soon as we find out and confirm that, I'll let you know.
Are updates going to be given in this format, or just coming from news releases coming from?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Are updates going to be given in this format? You're going to give briefings throughout the weekend as you can do that, or are they just going to be releases to us?
No, there'll be releases to us. We'll give you as much information as we can right now, and then any update, like once we confirm that family's been notified, we will give that to you in a release, so you have that information.
Once the body cam footage is out, you're going to do another briefing to talk about the body cam footage?
No, not at this point. What we're doing, we're waiting on now is to just make sure that the family knows. So once we do that, we're going to share the video and we'll give as much context as we can, because remember, we're working with the Attorney General's office on this, so they have to weigh in on some of this as far as what is confirmed and what they want to share.
I guess my question is, will you have another briefing where you stand up and take questions about this incident as more information is released? Will we be able to...
Well, I'm sure we'll do that in the future, because we're releasing preliminary body-worn camera, and then, you know, there's a point, as you know, when we released all camera video, but that takes a while. So at that point, certainly, we're more than prepared to have a further discussion on it.
Was the victim in the vehicle when he was shot? Did he exit the car at any point? Did the officer shoot the car and run?
That's preliminary, and again, as soon as I can confirm that, then we'll certainly make sure that you have that information. So.
Do you have any reaction, or what would you say to the community right now following another officer-involved shooting? I know it's still early, but do you have a message for people at home right now?
That we're going to do the best we can to investigate this, to work with the Attorney General's office, and to make sure we get the public what information we can and be as transparent as we can. We're certainly going to do that. That's what we have been doing, and we'll continue to do that, is to get that information out. So I have time for one more question. All set? All right, thanks, everybody. Yep, have a good weekend.
Thank you.